What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Welcome back to Love and Rice Podcast with your host, Aunt Ma.
I'm your other host, Christina.
And if you guys are new to this pod, make sure you guys subscribe on all podcast platforms, whichever one you like to listen on or actually see the videos of. We are on YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and then we're also on social media platforms, Instagram and TikTok. So on today's episode, it's kind of crazy. We are in the first month of 2025 and so much has been going on. It's crazy, right? We got planes crashing nonstop, which is devastating to see on the news. And now we got these crazy wildfires, these brush fires in California that's going insane. And the whole world is watching the eyes on all these disasters that's happening. And so what I want to talk about on today's episode is not too much about the news of what's going on, because this is day 3 of the fires. And when this episode comes out, a lot of things might have changed. A lot of facts might have changed. So I'm not really focusing on being the news here for you guys. What I want to really talk about more is, these disasters and, what to do when we go through these disasters, how devastating they are for people who have been through it. Like, we are never prepared for something like this. And that's kind of what I want to talk about, how it just affects everybody's lives.
I feel like so many people, like most people, right, would never think that something like this could happen to them. And just seeing it be so crazy and get out of control like so quickly, it's like, how do you really prepare for something like this? Like this is a massive fire.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I want to talk about. But day 3 of the fires, we do have a little bit of news that we can say on this. On my phone, I did a lot of research on Google news media stuff, so that's kind of where I'm reading it off of. So here's what we have is, or what we know in the first 3 days is, it's crazy. First off, every night when you go to sleep, you see what's going on, and you wake up and it's something new, something different, right? Like last night when I went to sleep, it was 4 fires, 5 people have passed away. And now this morning when I woke up, there's 5 fires and there's at least 10 people confirmed that passed away. You know what I mean? And these numbers are going to keep climbing by the time you guys hear this episode. And it's just, man, that's wild.
Yeah, because I think they still have firefighters that are coming in from like all over the world now, and they're
What do you mean
not
the world?
but like from different states. So it's like, how long is it taking them to get there? And then there's still people who are they're trying to find like things and people, pets, like within the rubble and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of sad because you're just waiting for the news and trying to get updates, and like you're just hoping that there's not going to be more fatalities from this.
All right, so here's what we have. Okay, currently, as of today, day 3, there are 5 fires. All right, these are the most destructive fires in LA history. Okay, and here's why. It's because thousands of buildings and structures have been burned. Okay, a lot of acres. So the 5 fires we have are, the first one that started, the Palisades fire. That is in the Malibu area, Santa Monica Beach. It's over there. There's a lot of mountains, and the fire crossed and got to the houses and structures. Okay, then we have Eaton fire, which is Pasadena, Altadena area, San Gabriel Valley, which is very scary.
That's crazy because I used to go hiking there all the time.
All the time.
Always,
Okay?
yeah.
So we know that area very well. Then we have the Sunset fire, which is in Hollywood area, and it's literally burning the main streets, the major streets. Sunset Boulevard is huge. You guys all know about Sunset Boulevard because of the movies and things like that, and yes, those are the places that burned. Okay. Then we're talking about the Hearst fire in Sylmar, which is close to Magic Mountain. Okay. Then we have the Kenneth fire, which is brand new just this morning, Woodland Hills. Okay. So that is, you got LA in the middle, you got, the suburbs, the side of LA, and then now you have the other side and everything's just kind of burning, and it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So what we have is so far 180,000 people evacuated, another 200,000 under evacuation orders. They don't know what to do, but they got to pack emergency bags just in case they have to evacuate. 420,000 people without power, right? And then also they just shut off the gas, so the gas doesn't explode,
Yeah, I
right?
just heard that this morning that they put it back up because I know they shut it down because
Hmm.
they're worried that like the fire would cause an explosion. And everyone was going crazy yesterday in Vegas, right? Like once we heard about that, we're like, okay, you know what, we got to get gas before it stays shut down. We don't know how long it's gonna be, like what's gonna happen with the supply.
It's the media that caused the
it,
panic
it
of
does,
it, you
yes,
know.
you're right.
We have, what Vegas has is a contract with California to get gas, and because of the fires, California shut down the fuel lines, so we cannot get gas during that time. But there's two ways of us getting gas, or two fuel lines or something. So the Vegas made sure that the other line was accessible. Media didn't say that stuff, and we wake up in the morning and everything's back to normal for
Yep.
Vegas. Last night, people were getting gas. There's cops at Costco directing traffic. Lines were like across the street. It's kind of crazy. Um, so then we have about what we found out is that the Woodland Hills fire. They arrested someone today for it.
Yes, so that was actually a case of arson, and they just arrested the person this morning, right?
Yep. So witnesses saw this guy with a blowtorch burning shit up, and they called the cops, and he got caught. And I feel like something like that, that should be a terrorist attack.
Right? Because you already have
You
these
know?
fires that you're dealing with, and then now you have people within the neighborhood like trying to stop this person with a blowtorch just going
Right.
around trying to start
It's
like
it's
fires.
it's mass destruction.
Yeah.
And I feel like they need harsher laws and penalties and punishments for these things that happen, because of, you can see the outcome of it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So many people are just, their lives are becoming ruined right now. And so, yeah, I really hope that person gets the craziest punishment
Mm-hmm.
ever. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about like maximum everything. Um, so then we have $150 billion loss in LA. Okay,
That's probably the
150 billion.
biggest, right?
It is
Yeah.
the biggest. And this is just day 3, where they're just, I think every day is going to increase and increase.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because the fire hasn't really been contained yet. Yesterday it was at 0%,
Yeah.
but today there has been some progress. So it says that the Eaton fire, which is about 14,000 acres burning, is at 3% contained.
3%. Wow.
Okay, Palisades, which is 20,000 acres, is 8% contained. The Hearst fire is 31% contained, and the Kenneth fire is 35% contained. So the ones that are in the cities are getting more contained faster. The ones that are still in the mountains are still taking a long time. But they will have, they're getting help. The Palisades and the Eaton fire. So the ones by the beach in Santa Monica and Malibu, and the one in the mountains of Pasadena and Altadena, those are your biggest fires, because those are typically your brush fire areas.
Yeah, there's a lot of brush there and like tall bushes, and I know they're talking about all of the plants that are there. They have specific ones where it's like once they die off, it kind of just like scatters around, and there's just like a lot of like dry brush and like things that can easily catch on fire. So that's why I feel like that's one of the reasons why the fire just like erupted so quickly.
I mean, it's the crazy wind that they have and all.
Yeah.
It's who knows, but I think the hardest part is when people have to evacuate and leave their homes are burning, and they got to get far away from the fire as possible, and then all of a sudden you got looters coming.
Yeah,
People
that
come
is
in and
crazy.
they're trying to take things from people's houses, and they don't think the owners are around, stuff like that. And I don't know, man, to take advantage of something like that is like, that's a really cold soul.
But there are always people who are going to do that. So they're like taking advantage of the fact that like, oh, like this is in the richer areas, right? People are criticizing celebrities. And they're like, oh, well, no one's around. So why don't we just go in and take what we can before the fire gets to it, And it's crazy like that people think like that.
You got like the firemen who are going in there and they're taking out what they think are antiques and valuables from people's
Memorabilia.
houses and laying them on the street so they don't burn up, right? Because all you have left are those memories. And then you got those crazy people going in there and trying to steal that shit.
I
It's like,
know.
dude,
Yeah, I saw videos of firefighters who are going into the homes and you see them like coming out and they're bringing like photo albums and pictures and other
yeah.
things from like houses because that's like the one thing that you don't want to lose, you know?
And this is what people don't understand. People who don't live in Southern California right now, you guys are listening from all over the world. You see the comments on social media. Oh, this is the rich area, Santa Monica, Malibu. The celebrities, their houses are gone. They'll be okay. They got enough money to rebuild their life. I mean, yes, but
Money can't
the
buy those things back.
they can't buy what they lost. They can rebuild. It'll cost them a lot of money, a lot of emotions they went through. They are still people who have lost. And what people don't understand is people, okay? People are hurt. People lost everything. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter who they are, how much money they have, they still lost.
And how long
Like,
does it take to rebuild all of that? And there's childhood
it's
memories that you
crazy.
have that are just gone because you don't have that there to look in to
Yeah.
see, you know?
Like when I think about, the Sunset Fire on Sunset Boulevard and people had to leave their cars,
That
you
is
know,
crazy. That's never happened before
it's happened. It's
out
happened.
here. I
Yeah,
mean, out in LA.
it's happened. It happens in snowstorms, things like that. There was that one drive from LA to Vegas in the middle where people had to abandon their cars during a fire as well.
Right.
And we
Yeah.
were there exactly when that happened, but we weren't there where we had to leave our car.
Yeah.
Imagine the people who, only have that one car, things
But
like
it's
that.
crazy because they're already losing their houses and everything else, like from
They
the
lost
fire.
everything.
And
Yeah.
everyone's going in this panic and trying to leave, and it's causing congestion. And there's traffic, and the fire's moving so quickly. And firefighters are just telling them like, "Hey, you got to grab your stuff and just get out and walk." And it's crazy because your cars are just there, and then it's to the point where they have to get a bulldozer to
Yeah.
start like getting all the cars out of the
Can
way.
can you imagine when you have to leave your car and you're like, all right, I'll come back tomorrow and grab my car, type of thing. But then you find out on the news that, yeah, the
You
bulldozer
don't know
came
where
and
you're coming
and
back
bulldozed
to.
all the cars out of the way so fire trucks can get through. And then you're
Yeah.
like, fuck, dude. Like
You already
it's
got to deal with trying to figure out what to do with the aftermath of losing your
yeah.
house. But now you have to worry about if you had pets that you had to let go. There are people letting go of like horses and other
And
things.
dogs and stuff
And
too. Yeah.
exactly.
So like when you talk about losing a house, losing your car, and then you're talking about if you had a job on a place on Sunset Boulevard. Now, you guys may think Sunset Boulevard is like all glamorous, but there are normal businesses such as
Right.
banks, people who work at the banks, people who work at restaurants. There are mom and pop restaurants. There are A-list celebrity restaurants. There are offices. There's so many small places too where like people are struggling for business and those burn down.
Yeah.
I used to work on Sunset Boulevard back in my days. It was a sushi restaurant, owned by celebrities, things like that. And, I was just a hustler there working,
Mm-hmm.
working like I was doing about 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, making 1,200 a month. Like that should have been illegal. You know what I mean? But all I knew was I had to grind and learn the
Yeah.
experience and do what I got to do. So imagine if I was still working there with that type of pay and then I lost my job and I got to pay rent and stuff. Like, you think about the people who lost their house and cars and still have to make house payments and car payments
Mm-hmm.
and they don't have those. And then now they don't have a job. What the fuck do you do?
Well, that's why there's supposed to be claims that you're supposed to file.
Well,
Like
how
for
long does that
unemployment.
take?
Well, for unemployment, I think it's a lot faster. I don't know exactly how long it takes to get your benefits, but then that's something that you would apply for like through the state, and then they will give you some financial assistance.
I mean, talk about the first week of a disaster and you're going to look for funds and money to apply for. Then you got to hit up all the insurance people to file claims.
For the house, for the
And
cars.
right. And so that takes a week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, by that time, you're like, I don't have any money for a week. What do you do?
Well, I mean, that's why people are supposed to have a little bit of money saved up somewhere.
Not
But
everyone has
I
that.
know,
If it
right?
depends on what point of their life they're in. And that's what I'm saying. If I was that guy with that same type of pay and that amount of workload, like I can't afford to lose my
Yeah,
job.
and I think a lot of people probably are going through that. So, um, there have been a lot of resources that I've been seeing online, people posting of like free living assistance or providing free rooms or Airbnbs
Right.
and other things for people to be able to live there for now. And
Yeah.
there's places where people are actually donating food supplies and clothes for kids and other people who just kind of had to leave everything behind.
Yeah.
So I think because all of this is happening and people understand the severity of it, that all of these restaurants are offering free food and
Yeah.
there's just more resources that I don't think we've had before.
So sounds like the first thing we need to do if that happened to us is file all the claims,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
File for all the applications that you need to do to get your life in order. You know, that's some crazy stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then when you think about like business owners,
Yeah.
okay, the Eats and Fire in the mountains of Pasadena and Altadena area. My first business was in Pasadena, right?
Right.
When I first met you, I bought that business. It was a laundromat
Yep.
that I bought, and it's literally up there
Mm-hmm.
where everything is burning. I don't even know if that laundromat burned down. I know that the roads are blocked off over there. I know that within several blocks, houses have burned from there. And so imagine if I kept that business and we
Mm-hmm.
lost it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I don't know what to do as a business owner now. You know, all I know is that like, damn, I fucking lost everything.
Yeah. From your perspective, being a business owner, what should people do? Like if they have a business and it burns down, like what do they need to do prepare? Like what are the next steps?
See what kind of emergency funds you can apply for. At first I gotta hit up the landlord and be like, hey dude, I can't I can't pay rent for my business. Then I gotta hit up all the employees and be like, I really don't know what to do, to be
Yeah.
honest. I just have to go like step by step and pretty much be under like this damage control thing, right?
Yeah, because usually for employees, they would go through a state funded unemployment assistance, and I think there's also FEMA. But yeah, when it comes to renting a place or having a business that you're renting through a landlord, like usually they're supposed to be responsible for covering that.
I mean, yeah, there is insurance for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what's hard is like let's say for the business, I gotta pay $4,000 in rent, and
Right.
my business makes $6,000. And I only make 2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I don't have a job or anything, and that's all I have. Some people think, man, you're a business owner, you'll be okay, you'll figure it out. Like, damn, I'm barely making $2,000 a
Yeah.
month,
Right.
and now I'm making nothing. Like, what do I do? Like it's not always what you guys think with business owners. You know what I mean? Especially first time business owners, they're trying to figure things out. You know, but it's hard. Like, I have a friend that just posted on Facebook. Okay, he lives in the Pasadena area, and on day 2 of the fires, he got an email from, it was either State Farm or Farmers Insurance, saying that they canceled his policy. His area was blocked. He had to get evacuated. His house did not burn down yet, but they canceled his insurance policy.
While the wildfires were happening?
Yes. Yes, day 2.
How is that possible? Yeah, I've seen a lot of news reporting about that, but I was trying to look into it too, and they were trying to clear up what was happening, but what I saw was that State Farm actually stopped accepting policies, I think, since July of 2023.
But there's a lot going on. Okay, so
Yeah.
first off, the canceling insurance on the homeowners before the house catches on fire.
That's
That's
sketchy.
that's what's happening right now.
What?
Okay, they're getting emails that it's been canceled. And now going to what you're saying, for the last 6-8 months that people have not been able to get insurance
Mhm.
because they were canceling back then. They've actually been canceling insurances for the last 2-3 years. And it's been really hard to get. A lot
Yeah.
of the insurance companies left California,
Mhm.
are no longer renewing policies in California because of risk of fires that's happened in the last 10 years. These brush fires happen like every year in certain
Right.
areas, right?
Yeah.
Um,
and the frequency of the fires that have been happening, I think there's been more of a higher risk because of the fact that more people are moving into the area and they want to live in these places where there's a lot of brush. So the payout for the insurance companies are a lot more than what they're actually collecting to be able to pay it out. I don't
I don't
know.
know. I have no idea about that stuff, but what
Yeah.
I do know is how difficult it is to get insurance for your house. Um, Even me as a realtor, when I have to help people get insurance, there's this whole new process
Mm-hmm.
that I have to logistically go through. And like it used to be when you buy a house, one of the last things before you close your escrow and get the keys
Mm-hmm.
is making sure you have insurance,
Right.
right? Now, that's like the first thing I have to do before even going into escrow, making sure that when we place the offer, I hit up my insurance guy right away for my clients and be like, hey, can I get insurance on this place? Because if not, I can't continue placing this offer, you know? And then if they do take insurance for this place, how long is it going to take to get the insurance? Sometimes it takes 6 weeks. So now your whole escrow and getting your keys is delayed an extra uh, month, half a month, or whatever before you can even, your insurance has to be approved before you can get the house. So like it takes a long time for them to even get that part. So that's why like I got to make sure now home insurance is the first thing I do and the first step to make sure I don't delay anything else in the process of someone buying a home.
What do you think it is that makes the process get delayed? Does it depend on the area that it's in, like the amount of the risk that there is for brush fires and other things?
I think it's because one, yeah, the inspector has to go look at everything and make sure
Mm-hmm.
they do calculate everything correctly and whatnot for their insurance stuff. But also because now insurance is from out of state, it takes longer for them to do their thing. You know,
Does home insurance cover fire insurance, or is that
yes,
okay?
yeah, earthquake insurance is what's extra.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you can only imagine like, you know, people who own their home for 20 years paid every month for 20 years and all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden this fire happens and they get canceled and it's like
Yeah, and
what the fuck,
I
dude?
heard that a lot of insurance companies, if they know that you're in an area that's high risk for like brush fires and natural disasters, like they can deny you. But the
My
crazy thing,
clients get denied all the time.
yeah.
And so we find them companies who are like third party companies, very
Mm-hmm.
small companies that will, like instead of State Farm and farmers charging 1,000 a year, it's now these companies are charging 3,000 a year to insure it,
Yeah, it's like
you
more than
know.
double.
And these are companies that you've never heard of. You're
Yeah,
like,
but that's kind of like
what?
a last resort, and that's what
That's
people
all you
have been
can
dealing with.
that's all you can get.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? But there are places like AAA insurance that
Mm,
said we will not leave California residents stranded without insurance. You know what I mean?
yeah.
We will provide insurance. And so they do. AAA has been one of my saviors for a lot of my clients. So, I don't know. Thank God for AAA.
Yeah, we use AAA. Like
For certain
for
things.
certain things, right?
Yeah.
But we've never really had to use it. It's just always
Yeah.
better to be safe because anything can happen, like as you see with these
Yeah.
events.
So I don't know, man. These everything about every part of your life is getting um I don't know how to say this, but like ruined, like affected,
Yeah.
right?
And I think this is the first time where it's like usually when something happens, you're just watching it on the news and you feel bad for all these people who are going through things. But now it's like just going on our own social media and seeing all of our friends posting, and it's like
Yeah.
hitting close to home, and you're seeing people that you know that have actually lost their homes, and they're showing their houses that are just completely burned down and into ashes. So it's
I
like
I think
it's crazy.
I think why it hits us a little bit more is because our first house we bought
Mm-hmm.
was in Doherty.
Yeah.
Doherty is about, I don't know, 12 minutes from the Eaton fires.
Right.
Basically, from our backyard, we have a mountain that you can see. That mountain is connected to the Eaton mountain area, and you can see fires from your backyard. And like
We
when we
dealt with
lived
the
there,
wildfire while we were there.
we dealt with fires
Yeah.
every year we were there.
Mm-hmm.
Like we opened the back door and we see flames in the mountain, and like I have a hose in our backyard, and I'm hosing the brick wall. I'm hosing the side walls. I'm hosing the floor. I'm hosing our plants because I don't want the fire that I see from the mountain jump over to our side, and like that was normal for us.
Yeah, and I just got a flashback, just like remembering we had one crazy fire that was like pretty close to us. I remember us like trying to look through the backyard, and you can see it, and you can feel the heat.
You can feel the heat.
It.
Like we open our back door and you look, and you're like, oh shit, you gotta close the door.
That was
that's
so
how
scary.
That's how close it was. Man, and it's I don't know. I don't even know what to say about all that.
Yeah, like the time that happened too, like it wasn't as severe as the one now, because you're talking about with these
they
fires.
Were still pretty big,
it was
dude.
big.
They were huge. It was like at that time it was like still a Pasadena fire stretching all the way to like Riverside.
Yeah.
Type of thing,
Well, I guess I was just trying to compare like how crazy and how destructive this one is right now, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people who had to evacuate. And I think within our area when that was happening, it was like maybe hundreds of people who had evacuation orders.
Yeah, the difference is that I think the mountain fire is relatively the same. It's crazy amount of fire in the mountain. But the difference with this one is that it crossed over into more houses, more communities, and onto the main streets.
Yep.
Normally, it doesn't cross onto the main streets. It just burns the houses that are along the mountain, but it literally burned communities. Like the whole city's on fire.
Yeah, like how does that happen? You just look at before and after pictures and like just all these things are gone, I don't know.
It's crazy. It's something that, the last time LA has had something like this was probably the earthquake in the 90s, which we also felt, in our younger days. And that was scary, do you remember the earthquake?
Northridge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was living in Glendale at the time, which was closer to Northridge. And I just remember the earthquake happening in the middle of the night. I was like in elementary school. I was scared. There's aftershock every couple minutes, to the point where we had no power. Me and my family, we all gathered in the living room, scared, and we would all just sleep together that night throughout the aftershocks.
Yeah.
In the morning, wake up to try to get some breakfast because we couldn't cook in our house. And you're driving the streets and you see all the buildings collapse, all the lights don't work, signal lights are flashing, and like everything's destroyed. And I'm like, damn, dude.
That's crazy, but at least we had a house.
We had a house
that we were in.
We did, because it wasn't in the earthquake didn't happen at our location.
Yeah, so just imagining people like who where are they supposed to go, right?
Yeah.
All
right, so now that we have a family, right? We have talked about this a couple times, but we never executed a evacuation plan or an emergency plan with the kids.
Yeah, because we never really thought that we would need to, but
like we got to talk about like the plans of if the house was to catch on fire, or if there are robbers coming in the house, or an earthquake, something. What do we do?
Yeah.
Where do we go? Where do we meet? Where do we try to get to the spot where we can meet and then evacuate together? What kind of things do we have to grab with us and bring with us?
All right, so we talked about having an evacuation plan, and I think it's more of just like
actually practicing it.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. We have to practice it because, first of all, you have to create the plan, and it's actually doing it with the kids so they can understand the sense of urgency for it. Because you can just talk to them about it, and they're like, yeah, it's cool. Like, sure, we'll figure it out if it happens.
We need multiple plans.
Yeah.
So like we live in a 2-story house, right? And obviously the first plan is let's all go meet in the living room, right? Okay, well, that might get thrown out the window if the first story is on fire.
Yeah.
Now what do we do?
Yeah, because now you're talking about having an evacuation plan if the fire was within your home, and then you have to think about another plan if there's like a wildfire for some reason on the outside of the house, right? So I think it's implementing that, maybe getting supplies for the house. Where
you think we should have a box of emergency supplies ready to go, or is it like we pack it when it happens?
So I think it's a little bit of all of that. So it's like having emergency supplies. So it's probably having like fire extinguishers around the house. You have it some upstairs.
Dude, let's be realistic here, okay? Let's say all supplies that you have, ideally, if it was all packed in one of those like black totes with those yellow lids that's all over Home Depot and Costco, if you packed all that stuff in there, where the hell do you store it in your house? right? It's clutter, right? So people don't. Let's be
Yeah, so
realistic.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like with fire extinguishers, I think you should be getting multiple and placing it around the house in central points that you
Okay.
can get to it.
Now we're talking about to be realistic here.
Yeah.
Okay, that is great. But how much is every fire extinguisher, which is probably 40 to $100 per extinguisher, and then every year, you have to refill it with new stuff inside so they don't expire. So you're talking about hundreds of dollars every year, and actually having people refill it all the time. Like, you think people are actually doing that?
I mean,
Would you do that every year?
we probably should.
We should.
We should.
We should. But
Yeah.
is it realistically going to happen? I would say 1% of people do that. I don't know anybody who does
Yeah,
that.
but I know, but I'm saying now, like seeing that anything can happen at this point, I think it's worth the investment to get it, whether it's getting like one or two. Like, what is $100 compared to actually going through an actual emergency and not being able to contain it?
I know.
Right.
I mean, imagine you do all that and then fire's so crazy that fire extinguishers don't even last.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even enough. So like there are things like the what is it called, like a fire blanket?
They have fire blankets, which we do have, and it's basically to help protect you. So in case if there's any fires, and there's no way of getting out, you're supposed to cover yourself with it, and hopefully, like it's
You
not
can
supposed
get out.
to.
I
Yeah.
think that's great. Like, the fire extinguisher is for damage control, right? Putting out the fire.
Mm-hmm.
The fire blanket is so you can get out of the
Protect
house
yourself.
safely,
Yeah.
which I like that one.
And then also they have certain like N95 masks that
Well, we all have those masks now.
yeah, but I think they have specific ones that are supposed to help with smoke inhalation
But
too.
you said N95. I mean, N95 is N95. That's
Right.
the COVID ones.
Well, yeah. But I was just looking online too because I saw that people were trying to sell them now because of the wildfires, and they're different. So it like covers a lot more, and it looks like it's even more filtered.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I think having those, we have a bunch of N95s. Like worst case scenario, you use those.
Damn. So it's like we should have like in a central point upstairs and downstairs where it's like you have a fire extinguisher on the wall, and then you also have mask hanging on the wall, right?
Well, you can
and then
just
you have the fire blanket as well.
yeah, I think it's more of like just distributing it around the room. It could just be in drawers in all of the rooms, like the N95s and the fire blankets. Like we have a bunch of those where we can just place it everywhere. Because realistically, what you're saying is if we create an emergency box and something is already happening, there's already a fire, like what are the chances that we're going to be able to get to that emergency box depending on what the fire is?
Yeah.
Right?
It's like an emergency blanket in every room.
Yeah. I think
That's ideal.
yeah. See, so that's what I'm saying is like you don't think that things are gonna happen. You're buying all these supplies just in case it's gonna happen, but now it's like actually implementing a plan, which people kind of stop there. They're like, well, we have it. We'll be able to get to it. Like it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, I would actually put that in every closet,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yes.
obviously it's gonna clutter up your room. Rooms are small,
Mhm.
but if you can hang it in the closet on the side,
Well, no, the emergency blankets they're small.
I know, but I'm talking about like the fire extinguisher.
Oh, right. Yes.
Like, I'm talking about a central hub in every room
Yes.
where it's like a really big box
Mm-hmm.
that's hanging on the wall. You're talking about like a safe looking thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Another thing that I would recommend getting is they have these document holders where you could put documents like social security cards, your passports, and birth certificates, other things, right? That you could put in there. It's supposed to be fireproof and waterproof, so in case if something were to happen, like it won't get damaged.
That's tough. So most people should have a fire safe in their house for documents,
Mm-hmm.
right? In case of a fire.
Right.
And the more expensive the safes are, the more fire it can handle, but they can only handle so much fire,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're talking about 6-hour fire, 8-hour fire, and literally if these fires are days, your shit's
Yeah.
all gone. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
So it's like having that extra layer of security. So you get these safes, and then you also put your documents within that that bag, and then you put it in there too.
I feel like that's another task you have to do when you lose everything, and like, let's say you're sitting in the shelter
Mhm.
with no house and car, and you're calling your insurance and calling for funding. Now you're also calling every office to get back some new paperwork, right? Copies of birth certificates and social security cards, passports.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
damn, that's a lot.
That's a lot to deal with, you
Yeah.
know? And another thing that I've thought about, like if you have time and you're in the house and you're experiencing these fires and you don't know what's happening, it's like you gotta try to take pictures of, like, I don't know, the rooms and things that you have in the house, because once you have to file a claim with insurance, like you're gonna need a lot of documentation and proof to show like the value of what you have in the house.
Well, luckily we vlog.
Yeah,
So for us, we'll go back to
but
our
who
every
does?
YouTube
Yeah,
video.
that's not.
Yeah, it's not
It's
normal.
not feasible.
I know. You know, here's something that I thought about. Okay, this is something that you always say, and a lot of people say, is like, should we keep money in the bank? Why don't we keep cash? Keep cash somewhere, right? And like I always say, no, I don't want to keep cash anywhere. And think about when there's a fire,
Yeah.
and all your cash burns.
Yep.
It could have been in the bank the whole time, safe.
But then also true. But what if something happens
To the bank.
And
Yeah, I
you
mean,
can't get your money, you know, like what, I don't know. What
it's
do
a
you
lose-lose situation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I don't know. Like, you know, when you think about, all right, every night I'm gonna put on my pajamas that has all my cash in it, you know, in case something happens, I can run out with my.
What was that sound? What was this?
Did
you guys hear that? What was that noise?
It's my stomach and this air coming out
I was
of me.
gurgling up.
Yeah, it was like a throat burp.
Probably, I guess.
I don't know, but all right, getting off track here.
So what were we talking about?
You know, like cash. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there's no right way to keep money somewhere safe. It's just they just gotta be everywhere. I don't know.
I guess so. Yeah, you disperse some here, some over there, just in case.
Yeah, that's why you
know
don't
what's
put it
gonna
all
happen.
in one place.
Yeah, that's why they say never to put all of your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. These are some scary, scary times. Are there some other things that we should be prepared with? Because I have no idea. I didn't look up anything. So I have no idea on these evacuation plans.
Yeah, I mean, with the evacuation plan is also like looking into your insurance coverage just to make sure like that you know what you need to do, what is going to be covered, what are the next steps. Because if there is a wildfire that's happening, imagine how many people are trying to file claims at the same time. So it's like if you lose your house, you lose your car, you have to file these claims first because everyone is going to be fighting for these things. And if people lose their cars, I've heard that insurance companies for cars, for these type of situations, they'll provide you with a rental car for 30 days.
If you have rental coverage on your insurance.
If you have rental,
and for me, I'm gonna tell you right now, I always tell them, do not charge me for that.
But I wonder, because this is an emergency situation, and I think that insurance companies should.
Well, a contract is a contract. If you waived car rentals and you're not paying for it, you're not going to get it.
See, that's what I'm saying. So now it's like really looking into your insurance plan to see if that's even an option.
And I'm saving like $6 a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So people thought that they were covered with fire insurance with State Farm and other insurance companies. And little did they know, like.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I still wouldn't pay for it. When you talk about $6 a month, it doesn't sound like a lot to you guys. But, 6 times 12 is what?
72.
Okay.
But you're also like, I don't need it.
That's 2 days of a car.
Right.
But when you talk about like how many damn years you were paying for that, I mean, it's literally the same thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Shoot, man.
Yeah. So those are things to prepare for, like, just in case there's a fire, right? But there are other things now that, like, if you're in a wildfire or if there was a fire within the house, like, there are just so many things that you have to prepare for, like packing a to-go bag, an emergency bag, in case you have to leave the house.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like getting all those documents that you need. You're supposed to have
what's one thing that if your house was burning and you had to leave and you're like, fuck it, I'm not gonna take it.
What do you mean?
What is something that you're okay with leaving behind?
I mean, you would probably have to leave almost everything depending
like
on the urgency of the fire.
When everything's on fire and you're looking around your house, I'm like, fuck it, leaving all my clothes.
Yeah, you have to. I mean,
what are you gonna go grab? But like clothes are like everything.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on the severity of
your favorite jacket, your favorite sweater, things that you've had for 20 years. Like those type of things.
Yeah,
Your wedding dress, like
I mean, shit, like those some of those things you cannot bring with you. Obviously, how are you gonna bring a wedding dress? Like, how heavy are those? You know?
I'm just saying, like clothes is easy for me to be like, all right, I'm out. You know,
Yeah.
but what else are you grabbing? I'll grab my firearms.
Yeah, you need some spare clothes
Um,
for sure though, because who knows where you're gonna be and if you're gonna be stranded, if it's cold, if it's
Nah.
hot. Shoes to be able to walk around.
At what point are you gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna find donations for this stuff and use those things?
Yeah, but I mean, at least trying to have like at least one more spare change of clothes.
Would you
if
grab some
possible.
food?
Yeah, food definitely, because you don't know where you're gonna be. If you're gonna be stranded, you're not gonna have.
Would you grab a
access to food.
pillow and a blanket?
I mean, I think that's gonna be like the last thing on our minds.
Is
if
it?
anything.
Because I'm thinking about the kids.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna need to go to sleep. They're cold. They're tired.
So it's like maybe just having blankets in the cars for emergency situations. It's cold right now, so you just have it in there. Then that's one less thing to have to worry about. So maybe it's like packing an emergency bag in your car with extra clothes in case something happens.
If you can get to it.
If you can get to it, right? But definitely food. Definitely water. Water is a huge thing. You know, you need that to survive. And
Man, this is already too much shit to bring when something's on fire.
I know,
Like this is
but
crazy.
you're talking about a life and death.
We're saying-
situation.
we're
talking
saying-
about survival.
Who the hell's gonna grab all this stuff?
You.
I'm
I'll grab
grabbing
the
the-
kids. You grab all this stuff.
Yeah, right.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like you have to really pick and choose what you bring with you, because it's basically, if you don't have your car, it's whatever you can carry in your hands. Documents, cash, credit cards.
One thing I'm gonna bring for sure are our computers and hard drives.
Yeah.
Because the time when MySpace shut down and we lost all of our photos and things
Mhm.
like that, like
Bastards.
I don't have any of my memories from when I was younger
I
because of those,
know. I
online
miss
places.
MySpace.
And that sucks.
Yeah.
Like those memories suck.
Mhm,
So definitely that.
Yeah. I've tried going back and I'm like, I can't look at my page anymore. I used to love that page.
Like I honestly don't even care for documents. Like we can probably get it back.
We can, but you're just talking.
It's gonna be it's stressful.
It's a lot of stuff that you have to deal with. So if you can just bring
I
it with
know.
you, just bring it with you. Also medication.
Yeah.
Medication is huge.
Yeah.
Any prescribed medications, you definitely need to bring that with you.
Mhm.
Just and first aid kit, you know, in case if something
Yeah.
happens, someone gets hurt.
It's a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
man. This is just impossible.
I also heard, I've read that when it comes to prescriptions, if for any reason something were to happen, like in an emergency situation, you're allowed, I think, like 1 to 2 prescriptions if you forget it or you lose it in a fire or an emergency. Yeah, for the year. Yeah, and yeah.
All right. So what I've learned from this is it's gonna be hella tough to get everything ready for emergencies.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is prepare what you can. Okay, it's really hard to do everything. Just what you can is better than nothing. Have the evacuation plan. That's definitely one of those silly things that are kind of silly to do at home, but you should probably do it because it'll save your life and your kid's life, make things easier, right?
Also have a map. They say to have like 2 maps, and I know a lot of people don't have maps anymore because like we don't really use it. But to have it so you can find an evacuation route or whatever if it really comes down to it.
Yeah, man. This is crazy stuff. This is very sad. I hope that people who have been affected by this are going to be okay. You know, I feel really sad about the people who are possibly missing.
Yeah.
You know, family members who have lost other family members. Like this is very devastating, and I'm glad that we have this platform to actually speak about things, spread awareness,
Yeah.
about the situation. That's all we can really do. And we're not special news people. We're not special like emergency people. It's just we just want to talk about this so you guys know how severe these situations are and to be prepared.
Yeah, and
That's it.
and we try to stay up to date on social media. and there's a lot of like information that's going around, right?
Yeah.
And new updates. So, we're trying to provide resources for people who are going through it by showing information about evacuation centers, animal shelters in case, you need to provide a safe space for your pets, and just kind of showing resources that you can use to get food, clothing. Gyms are opening up their showers for like fire department for firefighters and other people who need a shower and other things. So yeah, just knowing the resources that are out there.
One thing that I would like to say is about GoFundMe's, right? Uh, Sometimes people think GoFundMe is a taboo. They shouldn't do it. Like everyone's doing it for funerals now, right? Like
Yeah.
you should be planning for those things and not making the public pay for your family members' funerals or accidents and things. I know, right? That's a lot of backlash that people get about GoFundMe's. For me, my thoughts are if you need money, set up a GoFundMe and get help, because I don't mind donating money to people who need help during a tragic or disaster, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm okay with people setting up GoFundMe's as long as they really need it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think
So
there's a lot of taboos because people set it up for
for the wrong reasons,
exactly.
and I get
And
that, but
sucks.
when it's the right reason, don't feel bad that you have to set up a GoFundMe.
Hmm.
I'm telling you right now, set one up. There are people that will help.
Yeah, there are also emergency relief funds too to donate to as well. And if you can, like, donate your resources, if you have like canned foods and other things and clothes, baby items, like there are those resources out there, and there are
Yeah.
organizations who are setting these up.
And just know that if you're one of those people who sets up fake stuff to make money off people when you're not in need, you're going to hell.
And look
All right.
for credible resources, because that's another thing. Some people will set up GoFundMe's and you don't know who the source is and who's setting it up, where the funds are going to. It's really hard to know that it's legit and that it's actually going to go to the people that they're starting the GoFundMe for. So you have to be careful with those. Yeah. And it sucks that we have to think about these things when we're trying to do something from the goodness of our hearts.
There should be something called like tragedy disaster fund me, where it's like if you lost something, it has to get approved and qualified through an inspector who knows that you've lost this, lost that. They check all the paperwork,
Yeah.
and now you can go set it up on the website, and that's what's being used.
Yeah. And for those, I know GoFundMe usually takes like a percentage of it too. I wonder if
It's a small percentage.
Oh, okay.
It's very,
Okay.
very small.
Yeah. So
But yeah, thank you guys for listening to this episode. It's a crazy one to listen to, so thank you for being here with us. If you guys like our podcast, make sure you guys follow, subscribe on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and we'll catch you guys next time on Love and Rice.